Outcome based education. So there is a quote saying people differ not only in their ability to do but also in their will to do so. It was given by Paul Hersey. So outcome based education is a theory of education. This is a method of teaching that focuses on what the student can actually do after they are being taught. Okay, this outcome based education is completely in contrast with your traditional way of education. In this outcome-based education, we focuses on what the student can actually do after they are being taught. The desired outcome is first selected and the curriculum is created. What happened in the traditional method system of learning and teaching is that we plant out the curriculum. So in this syllabus, suppose in this MSc of technology, biotechnology, this will be the curriculum. So we sorted out, not even the so we sorted out the curriculum. Okay, so not the intended outcome. So what happened in this outcome based education is we propose the outcome first and then the curriculum is created at the later part. So OBE is in complete contrast with the traditional education system. So OBE is a student-centered learning philosophy that is contrast to the traditional education. The desired outcome is selected first, and then it will develop the curriculum. Okay. After this instructional material, what assessment are we going to do to support this intended outcome? To will plant it out. Or that what there is not much difference about between this outcome-based education and your traditional outcome. The only difference is that the desired outcome is developed first and then the curriculum is developed at the latter part. Okay, this outcome based system has been adopted in America, United States of America, Malaysia, China, Hong Kong, everywhere. Okay. And then in this kind of learning they are student centered. So the teachers let the student know what is their aim to study. Okay, to for this education, what is the thing that the teachers want us to learn after they are being taught. Okay, there is not much different, but the only thing is the students have the liberty to rule out what they are going to study and what are going to learn. So what the student must learn is clearly identified. The student progress is based on demonstrated achievement. Multiple instructional and assessment strategies may be available to meet the needs of its student. So adequate time and assistance need to reach the maximum potential. Okay. So OBE addresses the key point, like what do you want the student to learn? What do you want to learn? Why do you want to learn? How can you help best student learn it? And how will you know what they have learned? Okay. So the emphasis on of this outcome-based education is on measured outcomes rather than input as how many hours the students spend in class. Okay, rather than counting on how many hours the students spend on class and textbook. Okay, OBE emphasis on the outcomes, how the student has applied the knowledge that she or he learned in a situation. Okay, so outcomes may include a range of the skills and knowledge. Generally, okay, they are expected to be completely measurable. That is, the student can draw the heart in less than 1 minute instead of the student enjoys this anatomy class. All right. So these are all self-explanatory. Now coming to the basic principles of OBE. So outcome based the basic principles of OBE are always have the significant culminating exit outcome as a focus. Okay, we focuses on the outcomes, the desired outcomes. Let the students have the liberty to know what they are aiming for, and we have to design the curriculum backward. Why? We should propose the outcome first and then the curriculum later. Okay, and we should link all the planning, teaching, and assessment decision. We have to set expectation that OBE is all for the learner, and we have to cater for individual needs and differences. All right, so outcome based education overall, if I have to summarize, okay, outcome based education is an educational theory. Okay, so by the end of this educational experience each student should achieve the goal. Okay, so there is not much difference between this traditional way of education in style of teaching or assessment, but instead with some classes, opportunities, and assessment, they help the student achieve the outcome. Okay, but the roles of the faculty, okay, the roles of the instructors, they should be based on the outcomes targeted. All right. Though this system, outcome based education, has been adopted in many system. Okay, maybe it was adopted in Australia, South Africa since the year 1990s, and then it was been adopted in Hong Kong from 2005, and then Malaysia has been adopted it, Washington Accord adopted it, Canada, Australia, Taiwan, New Zealand, Singapore, South Africa, Sri Lanka, Turkey, United Kingdom, even China, Pakistan, United States. So every part of the corner has adopted this since the 90s. Okay, so OBE can be primarily distinguished from the traditional method by the way it incorporates three elements: the theory of education, a systemic structures, and a specific approach of practice. Okay, so we mainly focuses this outcome based education mainly on life skill, basic skill, professional and vocational skill, your intellectual skills, and your interpersonal skills. Okay, so we develop on this. Okay, life skill, basic skill, professional, vocational skill. So after developing, after aiming at all these desired outcomes, we are going to frame this curriculum. All right, so these are the basic principles of OBE. So the difference with the traditional method is, in traditional method, students are given grades and ranking and compared to each other. Even in this OBE also, the students will be ranked and graded, but they will be based on according to the skills, according to the knowledge that they acquired, where they can be implemented in any situation. All right. So this is how the difference between in traditional method, we rank student, we grade them, we compare them. Even in this, but in this OBE, they are giving some situation, will give some situation. Okay, like simulation, they will give some situation, they are going to implement that knowledge and they are going to demonstrate it. It doesn't mean that everything has to be theory, they have to apply the theory and they have to demonstrate it. Okay, but there will be grades and ranking though. Okay, so content and performances expectation are based primarily on what was taught in the past. Okay, the one advantages of this outcome based education is those who know how to put, how to utilize, how to apply this knowledge into the practical, they are going to gain a lot. So the highest performance students are given to the highest grade and test score, and the lowest performing students are given on the low grades. All right, so there is not much difference between this. The students have the liberty to choose their own, to know and to understand what they have to learn. And okay, there should be a more effort from the teacher side, the instructor side, and then the student, they should know what she is going to learn, what is the aim. Okay, what is the what is the aim being proposed, what is that she have to learn, and she have to apply the knowledge that she learned. Okay, to demonstration. So this is the difference. So many criticism has come, okay, when we adopted this outcome based education. So inappropriate outcomes, it does maybe the standard we shared may be too high or it may be too low also. So and then some people, not all people will dislike this specific outcome, but some people will dislike this specific outcomes, the one that we framed out. And then it requires a lot of additional work from the teacher side. Okay, and then it comes a conflict with the admissions. Okay, the requirements and then the practices of the college or university, as they rely on credit hours and test score. All right, the university and colleges, as they rely on credit hours and test scores, there comes a conflict with this. Okay, with this the standards, the requirement, admission requirement. So these are some of the outcome based education. Did you understand? So outcome based education, did you understand, Nimshi? Outcome based education. So
Yes, ma'am.
I have to summarize, it is just an educational theory. Okay, so we focuses on every corners of the goal. Okay, so the role of the faculty, it's like we should target on the outcomes. First we will make the desired outcomes of the student, and then we will propose the curriculum backward. Okay, so it has been adopted in Australia, Africa, Hong Kong, Malaysia, and then India, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Russia, Singapore, and even United States of America, Pakistan, and China. So in this outcome based education, we focuses on life skill, basic skill, professional skill, intellectual, rather than based on theory so much. We focuses on life skill, basic skill, professional and vocational skill, and intellectual skill. Okay, even the interpersonal and personal skill. All right, so the benefits of OBT, it is like it has more clear outcomes, it is more flexible, and then okay, and then there is involvement of the student. Okay, there is like almost 90 to 80% of involvement of the student side. Okay, and then when it comes to the criticism, okay, the outcomes are inappropriate. Some may dislike this inappropriate, the outcome set may be too high and too low. All right, so now we have come to another topic. Okay, that is your educational objective. I think you must have heard about this educational objective. Whenever you get a brochure of any admission brochures or any thing about any institution or any college or university, they will have this. Okay, the central objective. Okay, and like your the mission vision. Okay, these are all comes under objective. So I think you must be aware, before teaching any classes, your teachers will frame you some objective, that is your general objective. So after the classes has to be taught in different point, like specific, like subtopic. So that for that she will frame a small subtopic, so it comes as a specific objective. So today we are going to learn about educational objectives. Okay, so in educational objective we have central objective. Okay, this is also known as institutional objective. It is usually broad, comprehensive and clear. Okay, like example, suppose I will give you example on my department. Okay, so it refers to the capabilities of the individual trained by the institutions. For example, after successful completion of BSc nursing program, the student would be able to provide preventive and curative care to the individual and the community in health and sickness. Okay, this is the educational objective, your objective, departmental objective. Suppose after the end of your MSc nursing program, maybe your MSc program, the student would be able to provide, okay, such and such thing to the individuals and a community in health and sickness. Okay, all right, this is a central objective. Okay, this is also known as your institutional objective, which is broad, comprehensive and very clear. So we have another known as the intermediate objective and specific instructional objective. Intermediate objective is also known as the departmental objective. Okay, intermediate is also known as a departmental. Suppose after the course of the CBCS nursing education program, you will be able to understand, you will be able to provide you will be able to provide teaching and the effective teaching and learning to the students, or okay, to the students or to any of your colleagues. Okay, just say this is example. So this is going to be your intermediate objective. Okay, or it is also known as a departmental objective. After the completion of the course in medical surgical nursing, let's say in your nursing education CBCS nursing education program, the student would be able to provide preventive and curative care to the adult and their family in health and sickness. Okay, so this is the intermediate objective. So coming to the specific instructional objective, they are the statement which tell us that what the students should be able to do at the end of a learning period. Okay, so my instructional objective will be like, after the end of this objective based learning classes, the student will be able, okay, you will be able to define what is OBE, what are the types of OBE, and then what is the benefits of OBE, what are the criticisms of the OBE. Okay, these are my specific, okay, specific instructional objective. Okay, so he would for example, the student would be able to draw 2 ml of blood sample from a child in not more than 2 attempts. All right, so did you understand? We have central objective, okay, which is a very broad, comprehensive and clear. Okay, after the end of your MSc program, okay, you will be able to provide some preventive and curative care to the individual. This will be your central objective. Now intermediate objective is your departmental objective. Okay, at the end of your the CBCS nursing course program, you will be able to provide preventive and curative care to the adult and their family in health and sickness. And coming to the specific instructional objective, okay, suppose if you have taught have a seminar or presentation on the topic like computer assisted learning, so your statement will be, your specific instruction objective will be, you will teach a student, so your objective will be, after the end of this computer assisted learning, the student will be able to explain what is computer assisted learning, what are the types of computer assisted learning, what is the benefits of computer assisted learning. Okay, this is going to be your specific instructional objective. So now an objective, when you made an objective, it should be relevant, it should be logical, it should be achievable, feasible, measurable, and observable. Okay. So now coming to the formulation of general objective. So how are we supposed to frame this general objective? It's that what do you expect to achieve in general terms? Okay. At the end of the class, the student will be able to calculate, will be able to assess, will be able to describe, to explain. Okay. These are the verbs that we are going to use. Will be able to calculate, to assess, to describe, and explain. And an objective are stated using action verb. Okay, the objective are stated using action verb that are specific enough to be measured. Avoid using vague. Okay, they are not so clear. Avoid using a vague non-active verb like to appreciate, to understand, to believe, to study, etc., as they are difficult to evaluate. Okay, so now coming to the next one, formulation of specific objective. So how do we formulate this specific objective? Okay, so you have to have some criteria. We should have some condition, we should have some activity, we should have some standard content. Okay, so there are four things that we require in order to form a specific objective. Okay, your it should there should have a condition, there should have an activity or a behavior, there should have a standard and content. Okay, so let's see what is condition. Condition is nothing but the desired behavior. For example, after attending the class on burn management, the student will be able to calculate burn fluid therapy. Okay, so this is a condition, your desired behavior. Suppose, okay, after the class, after this teaching, after the class on this outcome based education, the student will be able to define, will be able to demonstrate, will be able to determine, will be able to explain the types and the criticism. Okay, the types and the criticism of outcome based education. All right, so we should have a condition. Okay, condition is nothing but the behavior. Okay, and then the second one is your activity. Okay, what is your activity? Activity is your action or behavior that the learner is expected to perform after attending the class. Okay, activity is nothing but the action that you have to perform after the class. Okay, suppose I am teaching you this outcome based education, so the activity or behavior will be, after attending this class we have to perform something. Okay, I suppose I may be telling you like draw a diagram of something, maybe like draw a diagram of lesson planning. Okay, so this might be your, this is your activity or behavior. Standard is nothing but acceptable level of performance. Okay, these are expected from students. For example, the learner will be able to start IB lines with single attempt. Okay, these are some standards. For example, within single attempt, okay, I may be telling you explain what is outcome based education, okay, in just 2 minutes. Okay, I'm giving you some standard. Okay, in just 2 minutes, just this 2 minutes is nothing but your standard. Okay, the accepted level of your performance. All right, so the last thing that you has to be there is content, or it describes the subject, the object of the team in relation to the activity which is performed. Okay, the content, on what content. Okay, maybe either on outcome based education, maybe either on lesson planning, maybe either on teaching, or maybe either on education, or maybe either on the mechanisms of learning or principle of teaching. Okay, so let's see an example. At the end of the class on health, the student will be able to define. Okay, the end of the class. Okay, at the end I'm putting some condition. At the end of the class of the health, this is a condition. Define, I'm putting some behavior or action. This is the behavior. The correct World Health Organization definition of health, I'm giving some standard. Okay, the correct World Health definition, I'm not saying the general definition, I'm saying the correct World Health Organization definition. And what is my content? It is about the health. All right, so I will give you another example. At the end of the class on this outcome based education. Okay, so I'm giving some condition at the end of the class. So the student will be able to define, I'm giving you some behavior. Okay, to define, to give a correct definition of outcome based education. This is standard. Okay, so my content will be outcome based education. All right, did you understand? So this is how we make the specific objective. All right, it should have some standard, it should have condition, behavior. Okay, and even it should have some content. All right, so this is the example of how to frame a instructional objective. Again, another example. Okay, at the end of the class on anatomy of heart, the student will be able to draw the structure of heart within 5 minutes. So at the end of the class, I'm putting some standard, I'm putting some condition. The student will be able to draw, this is a behavior or a condition or the action that I want. Okay, the structure of the heart is my content. Okay, within 5 minutes I'm keeping some standard. This is the level, accepted level of performance. Like within 5 minutes I want the student to draw the structure of the heart, and then my content is all about heart. Okay, so this is an example of how to frame an instructional objective. All right, so another example. Okay, at the end of the class, the student will be able to explain about liver cirrhosis. Okay, at the end of the class, I'm giving some condition. The student will be able to explain. Okay, to explain it is a behavior. Okay, about liver cirrhosis is my content. Okay, so in just maybe like in 5 minutes or in 10 minutes, okay, this will be my this will be my again standard. All right, so let's see. Okay, at the end of the class, the student will be able to, so these are some of the example of this specific instructional objective. Okay, your specific objective, you will be able to define cirrhosis of liver, relate the demographic profile, recall the related anatomy and physiology, describe the risk factors for liver cirrhosis, explain the etiological factors, and demonstrate the pathogenesis. Okay, so see any doubt in this? So my topic has been covered up. Okay, so we have discussed from the first class about the teaching and learning, the maxims of teaching, the principle of teaching, what is the relationship between teaching and learning, what are the aims of teaching, what is the aims of learning, what are the principles of teaching, what are the principles of learning, and then we have come to the this outcome based education. After outcome based education, we have gone through this objective, the general objective, the specific objective, the departmental objective, and then how to frame a specific objectives. Okay, like anything, any query from your side, anything that you want to know?
Ma'am, I think I'll be fine once I go through the notes.
Yeah, I will say you my notes through your email ID. All right, so like
Okay.
what do you